How do you not expect that to build resentment and contempt in your relationship? And so the key thing here is we are not aware of what unspoken expectations we have unless we have the courage to go within and ask ourselves that question. What the heck are we expecting of ourselves? And what the heck are we expecting of our partner?
Okay, so anyone out there who has higher standards for their partner than they do for themselves, get it together.
I agree.
I can't even.
Oh, no.
I can't even.
That example really pissed me off. Conscious couples, business partners, and singles committed to attracting their dream partner. Welcome to the Conscious Couples podcast, where we share our life, love story, and combined relationship expertise to help you create and consistently cultivate the most magnificent, intimate relationship possible.
Never again will you feel hopeless and alone in your intimate relationship challenges.
Having accumulated thousands of hours coaching conscious couples and individuals all over the world, as well as starting and growing a global business together, Alan and I are here to guide you in all things relationships.
Thank you again for tuning into the one place where it's not about you or me, it's about the we. Conscious couples and individuals, welcome back to the one and only Conscious Couples podcast. Today we have episode number 168. Which Emilia is shaking with excitement.
So excited.
If you were on YouTube, she did a little shimmy. Are you expecting more from them than from yourself? Them being your intimate partner. For the conscious singles out there, your future intimate partner. Before we jump into this episode, we want to give a huge shout out and thank you to Next Level Podcast Solutions for producing this show. We work with 67 podcasters on the production side. Total, we work with it's 104 podcasters and business owners. 104. The number went down slightly recently, but it's on its way back up.
Exciting.
Yeah, personal growth, self-improvement, personal development, all things next level, all things helping people succeed through working on themselves. And that's what the Conscious Couples podcast is about as well. Sweetheart, you and I got a comment on YouTube, and you had answered them. And we co-created this topic, but I want to, as always, what's your intention for today's episode?
Before we even get into that meaty dialogue that we have planned for today for the listeners, my intention for this episode is to give and share a strong example that will help our listeners reflect a little bit deeper on their own levels of expectations. And obviously, why we want to do that is to help couples grow together, not apart. And, when I think about this whole topic in general, like self-leadership and leading by example and expecting more from yourself than you are from others, there's so many conversations that I've had with conscious couples and conscious singles around expectations and how far too many people end up expecting more of others than they do from themselves. And I think this community member that commented on episode number 55 actually really illuminated that. So
55,
Whoa, going way back. So this individual, this community member, had mentioned that his fiance and him had a huge falling out in 2024. They said, I have years of emotional failings as a partner, narrowed into childhood emotional neglect from my upbringing. He was kicked out to work on himself from his partnership, essentially. And work on himself he did. He said, aggressively and for months, in my attempts to start being a better emotional partner, she started to close up. As months had continued, she seemed only to close away more and more from my attempts to be better. And then came the real bombs. She started to set requirements, check marks for me to return home, originally to repair relations with her family, to show my change. Then came solving our financial hardships before I can return. Financial hardships that I work 40 hours to solve while she is unemployed. While it is starting to push my love away, I also realize that there is probably a lot of the things that you discuss here at play. Here's to a better relationship. So I love the fact that that community member still had hope and still cheersed off all of that to a better relationship. And with that being said, I think one of the biggest things that I picked up on in this community member's life experience was that the demands that his partner was having on him, or the expectations, for lack of better words, were far higher than she has on herself. Keyword, she is unemployed and expecting him to put all of the financial burdens and hardships that essentially were causing issues in the relationship on his shoulders without looking for a job.
So two sides of this, and I tended to be on one end, but I think that of all the people that I've coached, so just to provide context for everyone, I've been mentoring for 10 years, coaching for 8. First 2 years were free, and I've been coaching for 8 years now. And I have it tracked over 7,000 hours of one-on-one coaching behind the scenes with individuals from all over the world. The majority of those individuals were in intimate relationships. And I found every single one of them on one of these two sides of the equation. So on one side, there is the side where you are expecting more of your partner than you are expecting of yourself. That is what I would label as entitled. And I've been in a relationship with someone like that. She was expecting me to provide more than she did. She was expecting me to be XYZ, but not necessarily reciprocating that. The other side of the coin is the opposite, where you expect so much more of yourself than you expect from others. This is the earners. These are the givers. These are the martyrs. These are the people who are constantly working on themselves to try to be better. And I'm in a relationship now with Emilia where I am expecting more of myself than I expect from her, and she is expecting more of herself than she is expecting of me. When we have a financial hardship, or we have challenges, or we want to afford a new level, or we want to buy a home, or we want a new car, or whatever we do together, whatever we achieve together, I'm not expecting you to put more effort in than I do.
Same.
Isn't it? Let's have that discussion. In the past, have you ever been in a relationship where someone else is expecting more than they're willing to give?
Of course. Yeah. I mean, so many people that I've been in relationships in the past, it is very evident because, like I even think about like barbecues, a very basic, simple example that I think a lot of people are going to experience coming up in the next couple of months with spring right around the corner, summer right around the corner, all of these gatherings. It's like, if you're invited to this, let's say barbecue or house party or whatever, I remember in my past relationships, there was this expectation for me to just bake or cook and bring things.
Well, this is what women deal with all the time, right? Because
all the time.
Women have all these expectations put on them of, well, if we're going to go to a family gathering, I'm expecting that you deal with the logistics, or you deal with the kids, or you deal with the pets, or you deal with cooking or cleaning and that kind of thing. You and I have been to holidays where I'm in the kitchen with you doing dishes, and I just think traditionally men are often not in the kitchen, and I think it's comical how, but yet there are some expectations of men too, and we've done a relationship talks event on a documentary called Fair Play, and it talked about invisible work. Here's what I want to make sure happens in this episode. Anyone out there watching or listening, what are you expecting of yourself? What are you expecting of your partner? Because disappointment, resentment, negative emotions, contempt, a lot of times come down to expectations constantly not being met.
Mm-hmm.
And last night I had told Emilia, hey, I'm going to be downstairs at 8 and we're going to have dinner together. And I wasn't downstairs until 8:50. And she communicated to me, I really feel a little bit hurt by that, because why didn't you just tell me? I would have been fine. I wish you had set the right expectation.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, honestly, I was overly optimistic. I figured I would. So I gave a Toastmasters speech yesterday, and I was so pumped. A lot of people emailed me saying it was amazing. And I got back to them. And a lot of times as a speaker, you want to connect and you want to get back to people the same day when the emotion's high, right? Because they're all booking breakthrough sessions and it's very exciting. But that took a lot longer than I expected. So I was downstairs with Emilia at 7:40. I was like, oh, okay, I'll see you at 8. I'm going to get all these emails done in 20 minutes. And they kept coming in. And then 8:50, and I get downstairs. It's almost 9 o'clock. I set the wrong expectations. So I set Emilia up for disappointment, which can cause a grudge or can cause negative emotions. And obviously you worked through that. We talked about it. It was literally a minute and a half, and then we were back in full rapport.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah,
what's your take on all this?
Yeah, I was just going to say, on top of that, then there's the, the situation where it's like, okay, well, is there an expectation that I start moving dinner forward and I take care of all the babies and all this, like
fur babies,
all of this, like, expectations start to, when you improperly set, or you do not speak what your expectations are very clearly to your partner, you're practically screwed. Because, like, and even going back to this comment that we had from a community member, the woman, on the other hand, she is only now communicating expectations that are wildly unrealistic and almost out of spite and contempt and resentment, which those aren't, like, that's just not fair.
What do you think is going on there?
This person cannot win and ever meet those needs because this person is so unaware. I do believe that the female is so unaware that there are needs that have been unmet from a generational standpoint that she's never actually faced in the first place and never acknowledged. And I think that she has low levels of self-belief, and it's really easy to demand and expect things of other people that you don't have the courage to do. So, for example, again, nothing shaming or blaming in this, but if you're unemployed and expecting your partner to bring, all of your financial hardships on their back, I think that it's worth exploration of around, like, why do you feel as though that's a fair expectation to have? Yeah, okay, this man might have not been really kind or had been emotionally closed off, but where do you start to draw that line, and how can you navigate the relational dynamics at play?
What's going on? This is Branden and Hannah. We wanted to give a shout out to Alan and Emilia and their relationship talks. And going into relationship talks, I was under the impression that, my relationship didn't have any conflict or didn't have any problems. It actually was that way, but I knew I wanted a relationship that resembled Alan and Emilia, and that's a relationship that is just next level and different from other relationships. So seeking out their help has really brought me and Hannah together, and it's just been really, really incredible, and I can't thank them enough.
Yeah, Alan and Emilia have both helped us in recognizing and acknowledging each other's really important core values and given us insight and guidance on how to align those together so that we know we're growing together and never apart. The goal is always to kind of be in everything together as a team.
Alan and Emilia, we love you and thank you so much for everything you do.
Thank you.
I have a client, there's a couple clients that are coming to mind right now around this conversation around expectations. One of them, actually, they were going to it was his cousin's birthday party for his cousin's son. And they were going to a birthday party on the weekend. And my client, they have a 2-year-old together. My client is full-time working. She's a full-time mom. Pretty much everything is on her back. And we're working on that. And the birthday party was on a Sunday. And she is over here thinking on a Friday, okay, there's been no plan that my partner has communicated to me in terms of, like, what are we going to bring? What is the birthday present? Like, what is the plan? And so she is aware of the fact that her partner has an expectation for her to figure out all the logistics, for her to get a birthday present for his cousin's son's birthday, for her to figure out what to make and bring. And so she approached that conversation with her partner, like, hey, are you thinking at all of, getting your cousin a birthday present? Because that's kind of what this is all about. Like, would you have anything? And he's like, no, I thought you were going to do that. It's like, whoa, how do you not expect that to build resentment and contempt in your relationship? And so the key thing here is we are not aware of what unspoken expectations we have unless we have the courage to go within and ask ourselves that question. What the heck are we expecting of ourselves, and what the heck are we expecting of our partner?
Okay, so anyone out there who has higher standards for their partner than they do for themselves, get it together.
I agree.
I can't even.
Oh, no.
I can't even.
That example really pissed me off, but
so
I'm not surprised with that partner, to be honest.
Well, yeah, he sounds like a winner. At the end of the day, I blame myself in the past for not acknowledging this sooner. If I had this episode in the past, because that was what was happening, is I used to say this. The golden rule is treat other people the way you wish to be treated. I used to say, no, treat other people better than they treat you.
I love that.
It's not an eye for an eye. If it is, we all go blind.
Yeah.
And the platinum rule is treat others the way they want to be treated, which means it's a deeper level of communication and understanding. Like Emilia, when we first got together, I was getting her roses, these red roses, and she eventually said, Alan, I don't really like watching roses die, so can we do plants from now on? And I was like, oh, of course. I'm sorry, I haven't gotten her a rose since. I get them for myself still.
And he watches them die.
Yeah, no. You're cute. You're funny. That's sick.
And expects me to clean it up. Just kidding.
We funny. You funny. But because we both have to jump, I just want to wrap this episode up. Expectations. What are you expecting of yourself? What are you expecting of your partner? And then leading by example too. I said to Emilia, I have a therapist named Carol, and I hadn't done therapy before. And we use this example a lot in Conscious Couples. For the new listeners, Emilia had been doing therapy since she was 12. She has a therapist named Christine. And she said, I think you're leaving a lot of opportunity on the table by not working through some of the stuff from your past, stepdad, abandonment, boom, 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 whatever it is. And there's a lot you're leaving on the table. And if she hadn't been expecting herself to do the work, and she's telling me I should go to therapy, that would never work. I'd be like, well, wait a minute.
You're not leading by example.
Yeah, where's your therapist, right? So
right.
I think leading by example is step one. And then if you are out there and you're in a relationship where you have a partner who is expecting more of you than they're expecting from themselves, leave them. I'm kidding.
It just reminded me of like
you
go into like a party and someone like getting this like weird like brown jello. Like I remember when my parents went to Scotland, they talked about this like blood pudding. And I remember when I worked
had some of it
at Biotech.
It was awesome.
No, that was the dessert. That was his dessert.
Whatever dessert we had was fucking
But it's like,
great.
imagine you going to a different culture or somewhere else where they have different food, and it kind of looks like it has eyes in it. It's staring back at you. It's kind of moving. It's weird. Like it's weird to you because you're not desensitized to it. But then your friend's like, "Oh, try it. It's so good." And you're like, "Have you tried it?" And they're like, "No."
Yeah, no.
It's like that. Like that's what
Nice.
When you have expectations for someone else, but you've not handled that and you've not leveled up to your expectations yourself, like that's what you're doing essentially.
Breaks my brain. I don't even know how to do this episode.
There's a quote that I have one client who is like, and he's a conscious single and he is a business owner that I have, and this is like one of the biggest quotes that have been, I'm telling you, we've been circling the wagon and many productive conversations have resulted in it. But as a leader, he's realized that he's had all of these expectations for his team members because he thought that everyone was as competent and capable as him. And that is just such an issue. And when it comes to the quote that I want all of our listeners walking away with is, unspoken expectations are preemptive resentments.
Yeah.
Unspoken expectations are preemptive resentments. That's all relationships, period. And so if you are the person that's showing up and having expectations for your partner far beyond what you even believe is possible for yourself, I'm also with Alan, like go take a hike. First, go get really humbled because life will humble you. And for this community member, I feel I have so much compassion and empathy, and I feel really bad for that person right now because I can only imagine it feels like an unwinnable game, and you're just drowning in your partner's sheer disappointment, resentment, and contempt for you, when in reality they're not willing to really meet you there. And now trust me, I have compassion for people who are just, things get beaten out of them, and I don't know the context underneath that, but for those of you who are the hard workers over there and who expect more from yourself than you would ever try to ask from someone else, like good on you. And if your partner doesn't really love that, then it's definitely worth going inwardly and asking why you're still with them.
Last piece, I have found a correlation in my coaching, relationship talks coaching, but also business coaching. The higher your self-belief and self-efficacy in a given arena, the more likely you expect of yourself. So in this episode, I've done way more episodes than Emilia. If you notice on YouTube, I've moved her microphone several times because I have thousands of reps ahead of her in making sure the audio, the mic is right on my mouth.
Right.
And I'm not expecting her to take care of that as much as I take responsibility for the quality of this show more than Emilia does. Like, now she takes responsibility.
More awareness.
I have more awareness.
Right.
Exactly.
But I take responsibility and expect what I'm aware of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when you said the leader thing, if I'm unaware of the incompetence of other people, I might be unconsciously projecting that they can do certain things. And when I've done team trainings and I had them share screens, I realized, oh, they don't know how to use Google Sheets.
Yeah, that happens with people.
A lot of it is out of ignorance. Some of it is also out of the fair play thing. Some of it is out of the generational woman role, the generational male role. The men are supposed to make the money. The woman is supposed to cook the food or whatever, and all that kind of stuff is. Here's the deal. This is conscious couples. This isn't unconscious generational dingus couples. This is let's talk about what we expect of each other. Let's talk about what we expect of ourselves, and let's get on the same page, and let's communicate effectively and build trust over time. So it's something as simple as, hey, I'm going to be down at 8 o'clock, and I didn't get down until 8:50, and we talked about it.
Yeah.
Right? We talk about it along the way, but if you didn't have the courage to bring that up, you would have potentially built resentment, and that would have hurt us and made us grow apart instead of together. Anything you want to end with before we go?
Expectations are needs, wants, desires, period. Like, that's just what expectations are. So if you're not communicating what your needs, wants, desires, hopes, dreams, aspirations, whatever are, how the heck can you expect them to get met? So with that being said, if you communicate those and all of a sudden it creates some sort of conflict, likely it's because your partner's fight language is starting to get activated. That's what our next free relationship talks event is going to be talking all about. We're going to be getting into the throngs of what you and your partner's fight language is, so that when you're communicating expectations or you suss this out and you notice the bugs in the garden, you actually have tactical tools to go to and techniques that Alan and I have used and that are proven methodologies to help you de-escalate that fight language or that fight talk that's coming into a relationship. Join us. It's going to be May 15th, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The link to join and to register will be in the show notes.
Keep your microphone off, keep your camera off, or engage as much or as little as you want. It's entirely up to you. And we also have relationship talks coaching. If you want to dig in, find the weeds in the garden and rip them out before it destroys your relationship. The divorce rate is high and increasing. Come and do the work with us. If these are issues, if these episodes, for the person who commented, come do the work. Even if you come solo, we're not going to bite. It's completely private. We would love to help you. Thank you all so much. As always, it's not about you or me. It's about the we. We'll talk to you next time.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for joining us for another episode of the Conscious Couples podcast. We love connecting with the Conscious Couples community, so please make sure you follow us on Instagram. I am at Evolve with Emilia, and Alan is Lazarus88.
Also, if you or your partner resonated with this episode, leave us a review at the link in the show notes, and please share this with someone you love and care about.
Until next time, remember, it's not about you or me. It's about
the we.